Dive into the annals of history, where the roots of the Israel-Palestine conflict are deeply entrenched. From the biblical sands of time, the genesis of this enduring conflict can be traced back to the era of Abraham, Isaac, and Ishmael. A quagmire of faith, identity, and the quest for a homeland, this clash of narratives has shaped the course of Middle Eastern history for centuries. In the ancient scrolls of the Torah, Bible, and Quran, Abraham is revered as a patriarch. His sons, Isaac and Ishmael, are said to have fathered two great nations. The descendants of Isaac, the Jews, and Ishmael, the Arabs, have shared a tumultuous coexistence since then, both tracing their lineage back to Abraham, both laying claim to their ancestors' legacy. The land of Israel or Palestine holds immense religious significance for Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike. For Jews, it's the Promised Land, a divine grant from God to Abraham and his descendants. Christians revere it as the birthplace of Jesus Christ, while for Muslims, it's the site of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, their third holiest shrine. The concept of the Promised Land has been a potent catalyst for Jewish migration. From the Babylonian exile to the Roman expulsion, Jews have faced repeated displacements, each time yearning for their ancestral home. This longing was immortalized in their holy texts and rituals, reinforcing the belief in their divine right to the land. However, this very belief has been a bone of contention with the Palestinians, the Arab inhabitants of the region. They too have deep historical and cultural ties to the land, tracing their roots back to the Canaanites and other ancient Semitic tribes. For them, it's not the Promised Land, but their ancestral home, a land they've tilled and lived upon for centuries. Thus we see that the seeds of the current conflict were sown thousands of years ago. The Israel-Palestine conflict is not just a territorial dispute, but a clash of historical narratives, religious beliefs, and national identities. Stay tuned as we unravel the next chapters in this deeply complex and long-standing conflict. Fast forward to the 20th century, the world witnesses the birth of a new nation, Israel. The formation of modern Israel can be traced back to the Zionist movement, an ideology that emerged in the late 19th century which sought to establish a Jewish homeland. The Balfour Declaration of 1917 lent international legitimacy to this aspiration, with Britain expressing its support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. However, it was the horrors of the Holocaust during World War II that expedited Jewish migration to Palestine. The world, shocked by the systematic extermination of 6 million Jews, was more sympathetic to their cause. The United Nations, newly formed and eager to rectify the wrongs of the past, proposed a partition plan in 1947 that divided Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states. The plan, however, was met with fierce opposition from the Arab states who refused to accept the partition. This led to the Arab-Israeli War in 1948, pitting the newly declared State of Israel against a coalition of Arab nations. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, Israel emerged victorious, expanding its territory beyond the UN's proposed borders. The establishment of Israel, while a dream come true for many Jews, proved to be a nightmare for the Arab inhabitants of Palestine. Hundreds of thousands were displaced during the war, sparking a Palestinian refugee crisis that continues to this day. The newly formed nation was seen as a foreign entity imposed on Arab land, triggering a series of conflicts that have scarred the region for decades. The creation of Israel marked a new chapter in the history of the region, further complicating the conflict. Despite numerous attempts at peace, the Israeli-Palestinian issue remains one of the world's most intractable disputes, a testament to the deep-seated historical, religious, and political complexities that underpin it. The establishment of Israel was just the beginning of a series of wars and conflicts. As we delve deeper into this period of turbulence, we find a timeline punctuated by major wars and uprisings, each leaving an indelible mark on the region and its people. First came the Six-Day War in 1967. The conflict, which involved Israel and neighboring Arab states, was sparked by mounting tensions and territorial disputes. What was remarkable about this war was its brevity and the sheer scale of Israel's victory. In a span of just 6 days, Israel managed to seize control of the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, the Sinai Peninsula, and the Golan Heights. However, these territorial gains only added fuel to the simmering tension. In 1973, the region was once again plunged into war, the Yom Kippur War. Initiated by Egypt and Syria on the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, this war was a desperate attempt to reclaim the territories lost in the Six-Day War. Despite initial setbacks, Israel managed to repel the attack, marking another military victory. But the cost of war was high, and the psychological impact profound. The violence didn't end there. The late 20th century saw waves of Palestinian uprisings known as the Intifadas against Israeli occupation. These were periods of intense violence marked by suicide bombings, rocket attacks, and brutal crackdowns. The Intifadas highlighted the deep-seated resentment and frustration of the Palestinian people, and further complicated the conflict. The dynamics of the conflict have continually evolved over the years. Different parties have entered the fray, alliances have shifted, and peace treaties have been signed and broken. The United States, the United Nations, and other international bodies have tried to broker peace, with varying degrees of success. In the end, the bitter truth remains. These years of strife have only deepened the divide, leaving a lasting impact on the region and its people. The scars of these wars and uprisings are etched deep, shaping the landscape of the present and casting a long shadow over the future. As we stand in the 21st century, the conflict continues with no end in sight. The present scenario in the Israel-Palestine conflict is marked by ongoing tensions and unresolved issues. Settlements, for instance, remain a major point of contention. Israeli settlements built on lands captured during the 1967 Six-Day War are viewed by many as a violation of international law, yet they continue to expand, complicating efforts towards peace. The status of Jerusalem is another critical issue. This ancient city, holy to Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike, is claimed as a capital by both Israelis and Palestinians. Its future status is a matter of intense debate and negotiation, further fueling the conflict. Then, there's the proposed two-state solution, an idea that's been on the table for years, but has yet to become a reality. The concept suggests an independent state of Palestine alongside the state of Israel, west of the Jordan River. However, political, geographic, and ideological hurdles have prevented its realization. Recent events such as the Abraham Accords have also had significant implications. These agreements, brokered by the United States in 2020, saw the normalization of relations between Israel and several Arab states. While these accords were hailed as a breakthrough by some, others see them as sidestepping the core issues of the conflict. Despite the deep-seated issues, the road ahead is not entirely bleak. International efforts towards peace continue, and there's growing recognition that a solution must address the legitimate concerns of both Israelis and Palestinians. Many believe that the key to resolution lies in mutual recognition, respect, and a commitment to coexistence. The Israel-Palestine conflict is a complex issue with deep historical roots and a myriad of challenges. But hope remains for a peaceful resolution as the world watches on. The future, though uncertain, holds the promise of peace. It's a hard road, but one that must be taken for the sake of generations to come.